In our busy lives, when we feel like every argument is a fight we have to win, there is an old wisdom that shows us a new way. Picture handling disagreements calmly like a Stoic philosopher, turning angry debates into chances for harmony and empathy. Let's learn about some effective Stoic methods today to conquer your foes without shouting. Discover ageless strategies for controlling your emotions and attaining genuine success inspired by the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. If you find value in our work, please consider subscribing for free. Make sure to watch the entire video to fully grasp these valuable insights that have the power to revolutionize how you confront obstacles in life, leading to inner tranquility and improved connections with others. Keep watching to discover how Stoicism can transform your life. To effectively handle conflict like a Stoic, start by exploring the thoughts and feelings of the other person. This doesn't mean invading their privacy, but rather trying to grasp their reasons, worries, and viewpoints. Consider this: Marcus Aurelius suggested that we should look beyond what is obvious. He wanted us to see past our initial feelings of anger and irritation. Instead of acting without thinking, he recommended taking a moment to stop and think about why the other person is behaving the way they are. For example, in a heated argument, it is simple to pay attention to the words being spoken rather than the emotions behind them. However, when you practice Stoic empathy, you change your attention from outside factors to inside factors. Question yourself: why is this individual feeling so upset? What previous events could be impacting their actions? Epictetus teaches us that what really upsets us are not the things that happen, but how we perceive and interpret them. By following this idea, you can begin to understand the perspective of others. Picture yourself at the bank of a raging river, where the water is swirling with intensity. A Stoic advises examining beyond the surface to grasp the underlying currents. Similarly, comprehending your opponent involves seeing beyond their outward actions to the deeper issues involved. This could involve asking open-ended questions that encourage them to talk more about their feelings and experiences. Questions such as, "What brought you to this place?" are answered by responses like, "What brought you here?" "Which are your main concerns?" you ask. It can open up a dialogue that goes beyond the surface-level conflict. You not only gain a better understanding of their motivations, but also create an environment for empathy. Empathy isn't about agreeing with someone, but rather understanding their point of view, Seneca explains. This deeper appreciation will lead to more thoughtful and effective responses, transforming potential conflicts into opportunities for communication and resolution. This way of delving into the depths is not only beneficial to knowing others, but also for self-reflection. You can identify your triggers and work towards coping with them better by investigating the root causes of your own reactions. This dual approach of seeing both your opponent and yourself corresponds to the Stoic goal of inner peace and emotional strength. Seneca said that delay is the best cure for anger. This simple yet effective tip encourages us to take a moment to think about it, allowing us to do so objectively in the midst of the chaos. It's easy to let emotions dominate our decisions, but we can determine whether the situation is worth our time and resources by taking a step back. This pause allows us to ask ourselves the following questions: Is this battle vital to my values and well-being? Is participating in this conflict likely to result in a positive change? Imagine being faced with a plethora of potential battles, much like a vast battleground. Each situation can place a strain on your emotional and mental health. You can focus your energies on the things that really matter by choosing your battles wisely. This approach is in accordance with Epictetus' teaching that we should concentrate on what is within our control and let go of what is not. Many conflicts are small irritations that have little effect on our lives. We save our peace of mind by not engaging in these trivial problems. Marcus Aurelius reminds us of the power of letting go. He teaches that it is often enough to hold your tongue and allow things to pass. This rule is particularly applicable in situations where the conflict is based on minor smears or miscommunications. We maintain inner peace by refusing to react, thereby avoiding escalated conflict. It's a game of self-discipline and humility, acknowledging that not every suspected offense warrants a response. Understanding the potential outcomes of a conflict can help you decide whether or not to engage. Any argument has its costs, whether it is physical, emotional, relational, or even physical. A cost-benefit analysis can be incredibly enlightening. Consider this question: what do I have to gain from this fight? Is the resulting reward worth the emotional toll it would take on me? Often, you'll find that the cost of involvement far outweighs the benefits, resulting in a more peaceful resolution by simply walking away. When emotions are high, it's easy to let our words become weapons, hurling threats and insults that only add to the tension. However, a true Stoic philosophy requires that we remain focused, choosing our words carefully to encourage understanding and reconciliation rather than conflict. Active listening begins with the practice of active listening. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, concentrate on what the other person is saying. You demonstrate respect and a genuine desire to hear their point of view by listening without interruption. This not only helps to diffuse tension, but also creates a space for meaningful discussion. Seneca stressed the importance of clear, rational communication. Use I statements to express your thoughts and needs without blaming others. For example, saying, "I feel sorry when this happens," is much more helpful than, "You always do this." This tactic reduces defensiveness in your adversary, making it possible for them to hear and understand your point of view. It's a way of asserting your rights without resorting to brute force. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of maintaining a composed demeanor. He reflected on the importance of remaining calm in the face of hardship in his meditations. By maintaining a steady tone, you convey confidence and control, which will help to calm the other party as well. This does not mean being passive or submissive, but rather remaining firm in your convictions with a gentle and composed demeanor. Speaking with calm and conviction is also about staying focused on solutions rather than problems. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus the discussion on finding mutually beneficial solutions. Ask questions such as, "What can we do to solve this problem together?" This shifts the relationship from adversarial to cooperative, aligning both sides towards a common goal. Our actions are within our control, Epictetus taught. You take control of the story by responding with calmness and clarity. When faced with hostility or criticism, take a moment to breathe and focus before reacting. This pause allows you to gather your thoughts and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Humor can also be a powerful way to lighten the mood and create a more relaxed environment for discussion. However, it is vital to ensure that the humor is inclusive and not at the expense of the other person. Humility and a desire to find common ground can be displayed in light-hearted jokes or self-deprecating humor. The Stoics believe that beneath the surface of any conflict, there are common values and goals that can unite even the most opposing sides. Conflict can be turned into cooperation by focusing on these commonalities. Think of it as scaling a mountain. At first glance, it seems that you and your opponent are on completely different paths, each striving for separate peaks. However, as you both ascend, you begin to notice that your paths intersect toward a common summit. This metaphor perfectly embodies the Stoic approach to conflict resolution. Instead of focusing on similarities, focus on the points where your paths intersect. Start by rephrasing the situation from a me versus you perspective to a we scenario. This subtle shift in perspective can do wonders. It's about seeing the conflict as a joint problem to solve rather than a fight to win. Ask yourself and the other person, what are our common goals? What are the common goals that we all desire? What are the main goals, says the author. By identifying these shared goals, you create the conditions for a more collaborative and less confrontational dialogue. Stoic wisdom teaches us to look deeper than the superficial problems at hand. What seems to be a conflict of interests is often actually a clash of unfulfilled desires. A contentious debate about work responsibilities, for example, could arise from fundamental cravings for recognition and admiration. You will find solutions that satisfy both sides by addressing these deeper needs. This tactic not only resolves the immediate crisis but also strengthens the relationship by fostering empathy and understanding. Active listening is also essential in pursuing the common path. This means paying attention to the other person's words, tone, and body language without planning your reaction while they're speaking. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of knowing others and seeing the world through their eyes. By truly listening, you demonstrate empathy and a capacity to hear their point of view, which will open the door to finding common ground. Once you've identified common goals and listened empathetically, work together to find solutions. Focus on achieving win-win situations where both sides feel their wants are met. This problem-solving approach not only resolves the current crisis but also fosters a sense of teamwork and mutual respect. It's about transitioning from a place of resistance to a place of collaboration, as in the case of the Senate. Tolerance and determination are key. Finding the shared way isn't continuously simple and may require a few endeavors. Be arranged to take little steps and celebrate minor understandings. These little triumphs construct force and belief, making it less demanding to handle more critical issues down the line. Looking for the shared way is almost cultivating a mentality of solidarity or maybe then division. By centering on common objectives and values, effectively tuning in, and working collaboratively towards arrangements, you epitomize the impassive standards of intelligence, strength, and equity. This approach not as it were makes a difference in settling clashes but too fortifies your connections and brings you closer to accomplishing internal peace. Think of it like attempting to move a gigantic oak tree. You can't basically thrust it over. In step, you must work with the characteristic powers that impact it, like wind and water. In the same way, or maybe then straightforwardly going up against someone's position, you can impact them by adjusting with their profoundly held convictions and values. Begin by understanding the scene of their values. This requires cautious perception and tuning in. Pay consideration to what they say and do and take note of what they laud or criticize. These clues will offer assistance you outline out their esteem framework. For occurrence, if they regularly conversation almost reasonableness and equity, these are likely vital to them. Once you have a great sense of their values, recognize where your objectives and theirs meet. Indeed, if your positions appear contradicted, there are ordinarily fundamental standards that both parties share. For case, both of you might esteem genuineness, astuteness, or shared regard. Highlight these shared values in your discourses. This makes a sense of common reason and builds a bridge of understanding. When showing your contentions, utilize dialect that resounds with their values. This isn't almost control, but approximately honest-to-goodness arrangement. If you know that they esteem devotion, outline your focuses in a way that appears how your point of view underpins and maintains this esteem. This makes your contentions more compelling since they see that your arrangement adjusts with their center beliefs. Marcus Aurelius instructed that we ought to point to live in agreement with nature, which incorporates human nature. By engaging to someone's internal values, you are basically harmonizing with their nature. This approach diminishes resistance and cultivates a more collaborative climate. It appears regard for their viewpoint and illustrates that you are looking for a determination that respects their principles. Another imperative angle is to illustrate through your activities how your proposed arrangement adjusts with their values. Words are capable, but activities are indeed more so. Appear them through concrete illustrations and behaviors how your approach reflects the values they hold expensive. This builds belief and validity, making it less demanding for them to acknowledge your perspective. It's moreover imperative to keep up a tone of regard and sympathy all through the handle, indeed when you oppose this idea. Recognizing the other person's values and appearing at eagerness to get at their point of view can de-escalate pressures and open the entryway to valuable discourse. Stoicism educates us that everybody has an interesting viewpoint molded by their encounters and values. By regarding this independence, we can discover common ground indeed in the most challenging conflicts. Imagine you're strolling a tightrope over a chasm of potential struggle. A well-placed joke can serve as a adjusting shaft, making a difference you explore the unstable circumstance. In any case, this allegorical tightrope requires cautious balance. Humor can effortlessly tip the adjust if not utilized fittingly. The key is to guarantee that humor helps the climate without disparaging the other individual or the earnestness of the discussion. First, it's fundamental to know your gathering of people. What one individual finds interesting, another might discover hostile. This implies being careful of the other person's humor, fashion, and identity. Sometime recently splitting a joke, consider whether it will be gotten in the soul it's planning. If you're uncertain, it's superior to blunder on the side of caution. Following, point for humor that brings individuals together or maybe then partitions them. Self-deprecating humor, where you delicately jab fun at yourself, can be especially compelling. It appears lowliness and an eagerness to concede you possess flaws, which can diffuse pressure and make the other individual more responsive. For occasion, if you've made a botch, a light-hearted comment around your claim botch can ease the disposition and flag that you're not taking yourself as well seriously. Timing is significant in utilizing humor. Presenting a joke at the off-base minute can reverse discharge, making you appear uncaring or out of touch with the gravity of the circumstance. Pay consideration to the passionate escalated of the discussion. If feelings are still running tall, it might be astute to hold up until things have calmed down a bit. A well-timed joke can act as a weight discharge valve, facilitating pressure and clearing the way for a more beneficial discussion. But as it were, if the climate is responsive. Another vital perspective is to dodge humor that targets the other individual or makes light of their sentiments. Mockery, in specific, can be perilous region. Whereas it might appear witty, it frequently carries an undercurrent of antagonistic vibe and can compound the struggle. Instead, point for humor that is comprehensive and non-threatening, making a difference to construct compatibility or maybe then driving a wedge in courage between you. Remember the stolid guideline of control over your claim activities and responses. By choosing to utilize humor astutely, you keep up control over the tone and heading of the discussion. This adjusts with the impassive objective of accomplishing peace and level-headedness in the confront of misfortune. Humor, when utilized shrewdly, can be an instrument for keeping up this control, directing the discussion towards a more friendly resolution. Incorporating humor into struggle determination moreover requires a degree of self-awareness and adaptability. Be arranged to alter your approach if your starting endeavors at humor do not arrive as anticipated. The capacity to rotate and attempt a diverse strategy is portion of the craftsmanship of successful communication. When you're in the middle of a struggle, the to begin with step to advertising sympathy is to move your center from your possessed sentiments to those of the other individual. This requires an deliberateness exertion to get at their feelings and the reasons behind them. It's almost venturing into their shoes and seeing the circumstance from their viewpoint. This doesn't cruel you have to concur with them but or maybe that you appreciate their perspective and the encounters that have formed it. Active tuning in is a capable way to illustrate sympathy. This includes giving your full consideration to the speaker, not fair hearing their words but moreover paying consideration to their body dialect, tone, and feelings. Dodge hindering and stand up to the encouraged to quickly offer arrangements or counterarguments. Instead, recognize their sentiments with articulations like, "I get it that you're feeling disappointed," or, "It sounds like this circumstance is truly vital to you." These confirmations appear that you esteem their feelings and are truly interested in understanding them. Seneca instructed that compassion is a way to understanding and moderating our claim reactions. By centering on the feelings of others, we can mood our responses and approach clashes with more prominent calm and level-headedness. This hone makes a difference to construct believe and open lines of communication, making it less demanding to discover common ground and work towards a resolution. Another key perspective of advertising compassion is approving the other person's encounter. This includes recognizing the authenticity of their sentiments and the setting behind them. For occasion, if somebody is irate since they feel unheard, recognizing their require for acknowledgement and regard can offer assistance de-escalate the circumstance. It's not around conceding the contention but approximately appearing regard for their enthusiastic experience. Empathy moreover requires persistence and lowliness. Clashes regularly emerge from deep-seated issues and cannot be settled with speedy fixes. Appearing compassion implies being willing to tune in and lock in a discourse over time, illustrating that you are committed to understanding and tending to their concerns. Practicing sympathy adjusts with the stolid rule of living in agreement with others. Epictetus exhorted that we ought to endeavor to get at the behavior and inspirations of those around us, seeing their activities as reflections of their nature and circumstances. By drawing nearer clashes with compassion, we make an environment where shared regard and understanding can flourish. Moreover, advertising compassion can be transformative for your claim-enthusiastic state. It shifts the center from self-centered responses to a more compassionate and outward-looking point of view. This can diminish stretch and cultivate a sense of association and participation indeed in challenging interactions. When we conversation around compromise, we're not recommending that you desert your standards or donate into each request. Or maybe, it's around finding arrangements that regard both your needs and the needs of others. This approach is delightfully adjusted with the impassive rule of centering on what is inside our control and letting go of what is not. By recognizing regions where you can be adaptable, you clear the way for commonly advantageous outcomes. Start by reframing the strife as a collaborative exertion or maybe then a fight. This move in viewpoint can offer assistance both parties move from an ill-disposed position to an agreeable one. Think of it as working together to illuminate an issue or maybe then attempting to vanquish each other. This attitude is pivotal for cultivating an air of common regard and understanding. Identify common targets and shared values. Indeed, in the most petulant differences, there are frequently fundamental objectives that both parties can concur on. For case, both sides might esteem reasonableness, regard, or an agreeable working environment. Highlighting these shared values can make an establishment for compromise. By centering on what you have in common, you can construct a bridge over the divide. Next, prioritize your concerns. Not all angles of a strife are similarly imperative. Decide which issues are non-negotiable for you and where you can bear to be more adaptable. This prioritization permits you to concentrate on finding arrangements for the most basic issues whereas being open to compromise on less critical focuses. It's a key way of preserving your vitality for the fights that genuinely matter. Epictetus exhorted us to wish for things to happen as they do or maybe then as we would like them to. This stolid shrewdness reminds us to acknowledge the reality of the circumstance and work inside its imperatives. Compromise is regularly around tolerating that you won't get everything you need but finding fulfillment in an arrangement that meets sufficient of your needs to be satisfactory. Lock in open and fair communication. Clearly express your needs and tune into the needs of the other individual. Utilize articulations to communicate your sentiments and needs without relegating fault. For occurrence, saying, "I require to feel regarded in this circumstance," is more useful than, "You are disrespecting me." This approach cultivates a more profitable exchange and makes a difference. Anticipate the discussion from getting to be accusatory. Be willing to investigate imaginative arrangements. In some cases, the best compromises come from considering exterior the box and finding options that hadn't been considered some time recently. This requires a readiness to brainstorm and collaborate on finding modern ways to fulfill both parties' needs. Patience is too key in the craftsmanship of compromise. Realize that coming to a compromise may take time and numerous discourses. Be arranged for misfortunes and stay committed to finding a determination. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on the significance of persistence and tirelessness in accomplishing one's objectives. By encapsulating these qualities, you can explore the way to compromise more effectively. Imagine being tangled in a thick shrubbery with branches and thistles blocking your way. No matter how difficult you attempt, advance appears incomprehensible. In such circumstances, an impassive would not waver to look for offer assistance. Essentially, in clashes where communication breaks down and a determination appears out of reach, turning to an fair-minded third party can be unimaginably useful. This might be a go-between, counselor, or trusted companion who can offer a new viewpoint and encourage valuable dialogue. One of the essential benefits of looking for outside help is the objectivity that an untouchable can bring. When you're profoundly included in a strife, feelings can cloud your judgment, making it troublesome to see the circumstance clearly. An fair-minded arbiter can offer assistance unwind these enthusiastic hitches, giving a clearer see of the issues at hand. They can direct the discussion, guaranteeing that both sides are listened and caught on, which is fundamental for coming to a resolution. The stolid approach to looking for offer assistance is grounded in the conviction that we are not separated people but portion of a bigger community. Marcus Aurelius regularly reflected on the interconnecting of all individuals, emphasizing that we ought to back one another. By looking for outside help, you recognize this interconnecting and illustrate a commitment to finding an arrangement that benefits everybody involved. Another advantage of including a third party is their ability in strife determination. Numerous arbiters and counselors are prepared in methods that encourage viable communication and problem solving. They can give apparatuses and methodologies that you might not have considered, making a difference to bridge crevices and cultivate understanding. This skill can be priceless in exploring complex clashes and finding inventive solutions. Seeking offer assistance moreover appears a readiness to develop and learn. It requires lowliness to concede that you do not have all the answers and that somebody else might be able to help you. This lowliness is a center in passive ideals, reflecting a profound understanding of one's confinements and the esteem of ceaseless self-improvement. By looking for outside help, you are not as it were working towards settling the current strife but to creating abilities and experiences that will serve you in future challenges. Importantly, looking for outside help is not a sign of shortcoming but of shrewdness and quality. It takes mettle to reach out and inquire for offer assistance, particularly in a society that regularly values self-reliance and independence. The Stoics instruct us that genuine quality lies in recognizing our interconnecting and leveraging the back of others to accomplish our goals. When we conversation almost pardoning in a stolid setting, it's basic to get it that it's not around condoning destructive behavior or overlooking past wrongs. Instead, it's approximately choosing to let go of the enthusiastic burden. Lock in open and legitimate communication. Clearly express your needs and tune into the needs of the other individual. Utilize articulations to communicate your sentiments and needs without doling out fault. For occasion, saying, "I require to feel regarded in this circumstance," is more valuable than, "You are disrespecting me." This approach cultivates a more profitable exchange and makes a difference. Anticipate the discussion from getting to be accusatory. Be willing to investigate imaginative arrangements. In some cases, the best compromises come from considering exterior the box and finding options that hadn't been considered some time recently. This requires a readiness to brainstorm and collaborate on finding modern ways to fulfill both parties' needs. Patience is too key in the craftsmanship of compromise. Realize that coming to a compromise may take time and numerous dialogues. Be arranged for difficulties and stay committed to finding a determination. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on the significance of tolerance and determination in accomplishing one's objectives. By encapsulating these qualities, you can explore the way to compromise more effectively. Imagine being tangled in a thick shrubbery with branches and thistles blocking your way. No matter how difficult you attempt, advance appears outlandish. In such circumstances, an impassive would not delay to look for offer assistance. Essentially, in clashes where communication breaks down and a determination appears out of reach, turning to a fair-minded third party can be fantastically advantageous. This might be a go-between, counselor, or trusted companion who can offer a new point of view and encourage valuable dialogue. One of the essential benefits of looking for outside help is the objectivity that an pariah can bring. When you're profoundly included in a strife, feelings can cloud your judgment, making it troublesome to see the circumstance clearly. An fair-minded arbiter can offer assistance unwind these enthusiastic hitches, giving a clearer see of the issues at hand. They can direct the discussion, guaranteeing that both sides are listened and caught on, which is fundamental for coming to a resolution. The stolid approach to looking for offer assistance is grounded in the conviction that we are not separated people but portion of a bigger community. Marcus Aurelius regularly reflected on the interconnecting of all individuals, emphasizing that we ought to back one another. By looking for outside help, you recognize this interconnecting and illustrate a commitment to finding an arrangement that benefits everybody involved. Another advantage of including a third party is their skill in strife determination. Numerous go-betweens and counselors are prepared in strategies that encourage compelling communication and problem-solving. They can give apparatuses and techniques that you might not have considered, making a difference to bridge holes and cultivate understanding. This mastery can be important in exploring complex clashes and finding inventive solutions. Seeking offer assistance too appears a readiness to develop and learn. It requires lowliness to concede that you do not have all the answers and that somebody else might be able to help you. This lowliness is a center in passive ideals, reflecting a profound understanding of one's restrictions and the esteem of ceaseless self-improvement. By looking for outside help, you are not, as it were, working towards settling the current struggle but moreover creating aptitudes and bits of knowledge that will serve you in future challenges. Importantly, looking for outside help is not a sign of shortcoming but of intelligence and quality. It takes mettle to reach out and inquire for offer assistance, particularly in a society that frequently values self-reliance and independence. The Stoics educate us that genuine quality lies in recognizing our interconnecting and leveraging the bolster of others to accomplish our goals. When we conversation around absolution in a stolid setting, it's fundamental to get it that it's not around condoning destructive behavior or overlooking past wrongs. Instead, it's approximately choosing to let go of the enthusiastic burden that these occasions force on us. Envision being shackled to an overwhelming shake, its weight dragging you down and penetrating your tissue. Pardoning is the key that discharges those shackles, permitting you to move forward unencumbered. Start by recognizing the effect that holding onto outrage has on your well-being. Outrage and hatred devour your mental and enthusiastic vitality, regularly driving to push, uneasiness, and a need of internal peace. Recognize that excusing is a way to recover this vitality and divert it towards positive and beneficial interests. It's an act of self-care that prioritizes your well-being and joy over past grievances. Next, hone sympathy and perspective-taking. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on the significance of understanding others' activities and the circumstances that drive them. By putting yourself in the shoes of those who have wronged you, you may pick up knowledge into their behavior and inspirations. This doesn't pardon their activities but makes a difference. You see them as uncertain people or maybe then scalawags. This move in viewpoint can mollify the escalated of your outrage and make pardoning more attainable. Forgiveness too includes letting go, but not overlooking. It's around discharging the enthusiastic charge of past occasions whereas holding the lessons learned. These encounters shape who you are and give important bits of knowledge into your values and boundaries. By holding on to the lessons or maybe then the torment, you can develop and ended up more resilient. The handle of pardoning can be dynamic and continuous. It's not a one-time occasion but a ceaseless hone of discharging negative feelings at whatever point they emerge. Procedures such as journaling, mindfulness, and contemplation can be accommodating instruments in this prepare. Composing down your considerations and sentiments can give clarity and a sense of discharge, whereas mindfulness hones offer assistance you remain show and grounded. Another basic perspective is self-forgiveness. Frequently, we are hardest on ourselves, holding on to blame and lament for our past activities. The Stoics instructed that everybody makes botches and that self-compassion is vital for individual development. Pardoning yourself is approximately recognizing your defects, learning from your mistakes, and moving forward with a commitment to do better. Remember that pardoning is an act of quality, not shortcoming. It takes boldness to let go of harm and outrage and to select peace over strife. By practicing pardoning, you adjust with the impassive standards of intelligence, strength, and self-control. You illustrate an understanding that genuine control lies in acing your feelings and keeping up internal tranquility. Think of the legendary phoenix that rises from its claimed fiery debris, more grounded and more astute than some time recently. Essentially, Stoics empower us to rise from the fiery debris of our clashes, utilizing them as openings to end up superior adaptations of ourselves. The to begin with step in this prepare is to embrace an attitude of learning. Instead of seeing clashes as simply negative encounters, reframe them as openings for development and self-discovery. Inquire yourself what lessons you can learn from the circumstance and how it can offer assistance you've gotten to be more versatile and wise. Reflection is a key component of this development prepare. Take time to analyze the strife and your part in it. What activated the contradiction? How did you respond, and what seem you have done in an unexpected way? This reflection adjusts with the impassive hone of self-examination, as Marcus Aurelius frequently composed almost in his contemplations. By understanding your activities and feelings, you can recognize designs and triggers that require tending to, clearing the way for individual improvement. It's too imperative to hone self-compassion amid this intelligent prepare. Recognize that everybody makes botches and that clashes are a normal portion of human interaction. Epictetus instructed that we ought to center on what is inside our control and acknowledge what is not. You cannot control how others carry on, but you can control your responses and learn from your encounters. By being kind to yourself and recognizing your endeavors to develop, you make a positive environment for non-stop self-improvement. Once you've reflected on the struggle, set particular, noteworthy objectives for individual development. This might include progressing your communication aptitudes, creating more noteworthy enthusiastic insights, or learning to oversee your push more successfully. The Stoics accepted in the significance of common sense intelligence, or phronesis, which includes applying philosophical bits of knowledge to regular life. By setting and working towards these objectives, you turn unique reflections into concrete activities that cultivate growth. Engaging with others and looking for input is another important perspective of developing from struggle. Talk about your reflections and objectives with trusted companions, tutors, or colleagues who can give bits of knowledge and bolster. Their points of view can offer unused points on the strife and offer assistance you see viewpoints you might have missed. This collaborative approach not as it were upgrades your individual development but moreover reinforces your connections, as it illustrates a commitment to progressing and learning from your interactions. Patience and tirelessness are basic in this travel of development. Individual advancement is a continuous prepare that requires time and exertion. Marcus Aurelius regularly reminded himself to be understanding and tireless, understanding that genuine alter doesn't happen overnight. Celebrate your advance, no matter how little, and remain committed to your way of self-improvement. To begin, it's critical to get at your internal values and needs. Reflect on what things most to you and what behaviors you discover unsatisfactory. This self-awareness is the establishment for setting up successful boundaries. For occurrence, if you esteem genuineness and discover trickery unfortunate, make it clear in your connections that genuineness is non-negotiable. This clarity makes a difference. You communicate your boundaries confidently and confidently. Communicating your boundaries requires clarity and regard. Utilize explanations to express your needs without accusing or criticizing others. For illustration, instead of saying, "You're continuously ill-bred," you might say, "I feel disrespected when my suppositions are expelled." This approach centers on your sentiments and needs, making it less demanding for others to get it and regard your boundaries. Consistency is key when it comes to implementing boundaries. Once you've set a boundary, it's imperative to adhere to it, indeed if it's challenging. This consistency not as it were strengthens the boundary but too appears others that you're genuine almost your needs. If somebody crosses your boundary, address it promptly and calmly, reminding them of your already expressed limits. This fortifies the boundary and makes a difference. Anticipate future violations. Setting boundaries moreover includes expecting resistance. Not everybody will be cheerful with your boundaries, and a few may thrust back. Be arranged to attest your boundaries solidly but deferentially. Stoicism instructs us to stay calm and composed in the confront of difficulty. By standing firm in your boundaries, you illustrate self-respect and judgment, qualities profoundly esteemed by the Stoics. It's critical to keep in mind that boundaries are not dividers. They are rules that offer assistance keep up solid intelligent, not boundaries that disconnect you from others. Boundaries can advance and adjust as connections develop and alter. Being open to renegotiating boundaries when vital can reinforce connections and cultivate shared regard. This adaptability, in any case, ought to not come at the cost of your center values and needs. Stoicism too emphasizes the significance of boundaries for self-care. Ensuring your time, vitality, and passionate well-being is vital for living a adjusted and satisfying life. By setting boundaries, you guarantee that you have the space and assets to take care of yourself, which in turn empowers you to lock in more seriously with others. This hone adjusts with the stolid guideline of keeping up agreement inside oneself and in intelligent with others. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It's almost recognizing your worth and guaranteeing that your needs are met. The Stoics accepted in the significance of self-respect and living in understanding with one's values. By setting and keeping up boundaries, you honor yourself and make a life that reflects your standards and aspirations. In life, we regularly experience circumstances that are past our control, other people's activities, unforeseen challenges, and arbitrary occasions. Whereas we can't control these outside components, we can control how we react to them. Consider this: you're caught in a sudden storm, with wind and rain battering you from all sides. Whereas you can't halt the storm, you can choose how to climate it. Additionally, in minutes of strife or push, our control lies in choosing our responses. This viewpoint move is freeing since it places the center on what we can oversee, our possess attitude and activities, or maybe then on the erratic outside world. To start controlling your responses, the to begin with step is mindfulness. Take note when you begin to feel a surge of feeling, whether it's outrage, disappointment, or uneasiness. This is a flag to stop and take a profound breath. Marcus Aurelius regularly reminded himself to make space between jolt and reaction. This delay permits you to evaluate the circumstance calmly and select an astute response or maybe then a rash one. Shifting your point of view is another effective device. Epictetus instructed that it's not occasions themselves that irritate us, but our translation of those occasions. By re-evaluating your introductory judgment, you can frequently discover a more adjusted and less candidly charged viewpoint. Inquire yourself questions like, is this truly as awful as it appears, or what can I learn from this circumstance? This hone makes a difference to lessen the enthusiastic concentrated and brings clarity. Choosing your response purposely is the following step. Once you've made space and moved your viewpoint, choose how you need to react. Do you need to respond with outrage, or would calm and confidence serve you way better? Would a measured, keen reaction be more viable than a hurried, passionate one? Keep in mind, responding with composure and clarity frequently leads to superior results and jam your internal peace. Practicing this approach reliably builds enthusiastic strength. Over time, you'll discover that you respond more calmly and viably to stretch and strife. This doesn't cruel stifling your feelings but overseeing them in a way that adjusts with your values and long-term objectives. The Stoics accept that genuine quality comes from inside, and by acing your responses, you encapsulate this inward strength. Engaging in customary self-reflection can upgrade your capacity to control your responses. Take time each day to reflect on your reactions to different circumstances. Were there minutes when you responded imprudently? What might you have done in an unexpected way? This progressing self-assessment makes a difference. You learn and develop, making you way better prepared to handle future challenges. Moreover, controlling your responses cultivates superior connections. When you react with calmness and clarity, you make an environment of regard and understanding. Others are more likely to respond this behavior, driving to more useful and positive interactions. Remember, genuine quality lies not in prevailing others but in acing yourself. By grasping the intelligence of the Stoics, you change clashes into openings for development and understanding. Thank you for observing our video.